Good morning and welcome to Project Flow 2006.
Reduction in WIP. One of the things that I was mandated to do was to get the number of aircraft in PDM down to 5 by FY09. That task was given to me 9 months ago. Today, I'm at 4 aircraft. What that means to me and to my customer is 3 mission-capable aircraft back out in the field. And it also means increased capacity of about 547 dock days. Each one of those docks that I use, I meant to mention up front, but between my 2 programs, I have 10 maintenance bays that I use. I've been able to free up a dock and a half. That means about $35 million in additional sales and revenue each year for me.
Well, a few of the things that we saw happening when we started implementing critical chain, the due date performance went up, and I'd almost say that's a given. You get it for free. Nothing very difficult in that. The other thing is that we got the ability to significantly scale up our development effort. What do I mean with that? Before we were using critical chain, it was difficult to manage huge projects. And as a result, we usually worked with small teams taking a long time, not really via a strict schedule. With critical chain, we were able to add more people, to concentrate more effort, to bring up, to put more functionality into one delivery.
The results have been substantial. As you can see here, 35% reduction in flow days, 44% reduction in WIP. We went from 12.5 aircraft on station on average to 7. Actually, now we're running between 6 and 7 aircraft on station. For our customer, that meant 5 extra aircraft that they now have, and they can generate almost $40 million in revenue for themselves with those 5 additional aircraft. 800 million ton miles of cargo carrying capability. That's huge. We have a shortage of that in the command.
Before we talk about the implementations, let's take a look at some of our results. This is a chart of ship date variance for the 6 months before the implementation and the 6 months after. Clearly, we had better control of our process in the 6 months after. Not all the projects were completed on time, but we were getting better consistency, and we improved from minus 30 days to on time on the trend.
This brings me to the third point about the results. What was the results in a nuclear power company? First of all, the implementation starts in both plants, in Almaraz and Trillo, starts in February this year. And we measure the result in July this year. And if you see the projects complete in Trillo, the average in the last year was 19. But we start in February, but in April, we complete more projects. And in Almaraz, the same. And if you put together all the results, you increase the capacity 25%.
And in fact, in 2006, we're tracking in the 170 range, and that with having been shorthanded for 3 months of the year. So I think we did indeed take a step up in the project completions. But more important is its impact on our throughput dollars per chamber hour. Again, going back to how we said we would measure ourselves 4.5 years ago. And this is a continuation of the graph I showed earlier, where this was before critical chain. This was critical chain phase 1, which basically was before we reached the elevation step. This was the basic implementation. This transition, some bad things happened that had nothing to do with critical chain. The important thing, again, is the slope of this line since we went to phase 2, or the elevation step. And as you can see, it's taken a very significant increase up in the slope of that line, meaning that our changes we implemented had a significant and positive impact.
Just to show you some historic performance and to describe to you what I mean by we're running flat. The top line, of course, is our revenue. Middle line is our gross margin. The bottom line is net profit. They call that bottom line. That's called the bleeding edge. And it's been, it was a struggle to deal with this issue and work that around. In July, we stood up Concerto, implemented Concerto, and this last year has been pretty much an amazing year in terms of our performance. In 2004, we completed 213 projects. And in 2005, which also includes the last part of the Concerto, or the first part of the Concerto implementation year, we completed 217 projects. Year to date this year, we've completed 334. So things have been moving up pretty fast. What does that represent in terms of actual financial performance? Looking at the 12 months prior to Concerto implementation, and then we've just completed what I call the Concerto year of our first year of implementation. We've seen revenues go up 88%. Our gross margin has improved to 281%, and net profit has grown to 336%.
Some early results. Our lead times have actually reduced by 25%. Because again, we've taken the bloat out of the projects, and our project plans reflect that 25% lead time reduction. We do now get visibility and early warnings to issues versus, hey, we're going live tomorrow, we're not going to make it. Our on-time delivery has improved by 30%. That sounds pretty good.
It's nice to have the general and key leaders in the organization supporting you because notice, ever since that, there was a marked improvement. As a matter of fact, over the last 3 to 4 months, their cycle time reduction has been over 30%. And their due date performance, you can see, has been averaging about 100% or something. What that tells me is there's still room for improvement. They can take their cycle time and tighten up some of those